In today's show, we're talking about our New Year's resolutions, but I'm guessing it's not in the way that you're thinking. Hey everyone, welcome into Magnolia Photography SC. I'm Jeff House and I'm a wildlife photographer in Charleston, South Carolina. So I want to talk about our New Year's resolutions today. This video is going to be just a little bit different than the normal format, but I want to talk about some things as we get set for 2025. And I want to talk specifically about our New Year's resolutions and how they relate to our wildlife photography. We're not going to be talking about more exercise or, making a better diet for ourselves so that we're healthier people. Hey, if you're doing those things, those are all great. But let's be honest with each other here, right? I don't care what New Year's resolution we're talking about. Most people don't adhere to the resolutions. In fact, the second Friday of January is known as Quitter's Day, because this is the day that most people abandon whatever resolutions they made for the new year. Now, I don't know where you are in the world when you're watching this video. This is something that we do here in the United States. If you're in other countries and you have this tradition of making New Year's resolutions, please let me know in the comments below. I don't know if every country does this or if this is just, again, something that we do here. But it's something that people will commit to for the New Year's, right? And those are the most typical ones. I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to do these things. And we can't begrudge anybody from wanting to do those things, from wanting to live a healthier lifestyle. Those things are all great. But the fact that most people abandon them within the second Friday of the month of January, that's pretty disheartening, I think, right? Because people are giving up on their quest to be a better person. But what happens when we're talking about wildlife photography? I really want you to think about some things here for this video. I really want you to think about what you accomplished in 2024 when it came to your wildlife photography. And you can only answer this for yourself, but are you satisfied with what you accomplished? Maybe for many of you out there, you are just getting into wildlife photography and 2024 was more of a research project for you, researching what equipment you want to get, researching what your budget is going to be for the equipment that you do get, what camera brand you want to go with, what lenses or lens should you get. There's all sorts of things that you may have been kind of running through your mind, running through the process of trying to figure out how you're going to get started with wildlife photography in 2024. If that's you, how did you do? Did you do your research? Did you pull the trigger on buying equipment? Did you get out there and start taking some pictures? How did you fare? And for many of you, you already have the equipment, but maybe you're just rededicating yourself or dedicating yourself to begin with to getting out there and taking more pictures and improving upon the skills or the pictures you've already taken. Right? How did you fare? How did you make out on your quest to become a better or more engaged wildlife photographer? Now, I don't think, for me personally anyway, I don't think that New Year's is kind of the time to set these resolutions and set these expectations. I know for me, this is something that I pretty much do on a daily basis when I go out to capture wildlife photos. Right? I'm always striving to improve my photos, to improve something that I did yesterday, to improve on a technique, to improve on whatever. But I'm just one of those people that just constantly want to get better. I'm constantly looking to find ways to improve myself. And I know this can be a difficult ask for many people because many people really struggle with kind of doing things in a way that makes them a little uncomfortable. We tend as photographers to go out and we tend to take pictures in a similar style, in a similar manner. We tend to frame the animals or the subjects in similar ways. We tend to do a lot of things that kind of form our style, yes, to some degree, but they also limit us, right? They also limit us because we don't create anything new or interesting. We kind of become stuck in what we've always done, which raises the question for me that I want to ask to you now. How many of you out there have a similar thought to this? You're thinking one of these two things on some level. It doesn't have to be exact, but right somewhere along the way, you're thinking, I've been doing wildlife photography now for, I don't know, a couple years, whatever, many years, whatever it is. And you're thinking to yourself, I'm pretty happy with my photos. I'm pretty content. I'm pretty complacent with where I am in my wildlife photography. I just want to get out there more and I just want to do more of it. Show of hands. How many of you are thinking this? How many of you are thinking, hey, I'm new to wildlife photography. I really don't have a good grasp of my skill level. I know I'm inexperienced, but I don't really know what I need to work on to improve. So, I'm not really satisfied with where I am because I know I have a lot of work to do to become a better wildlife photographer. And I'm going to put in that work to become a better photographer. But in the back of your mind, are you thinking, okay, I'm not there yet. I'm not there today, but when I get to this point, and this point is what you deem to be the point, right? When you get to this point, this level, however you're measuring it, how many of you are thinking, once I get there, then I'm going to be pretty happy with myself. I'm going to be pretty happy with my skills. And then I feel like I'll be pretty content as a wildlife photographer. Again, show of hands. How many of you are thinking that? If you are, all of you are disappointing me. All of you are disappointing me. And I want to change this mindset if this is what you're thinking. Let me explain where I'm coming from and why I say this. First of all, if you're the photographer out there, if you're the wildlife photographer out there who doesn't really care about the quality of their images, you go out a couple times a year, or maybe you even go out more, but you just do it for fun and you really don't care about the process of improving. Hey, there's going to be a handful of you people out there, and that's fine, right? If those are your expectations, that's fine. This conversation isn't really meant for you. This conversation is meant for those of you who do care, who do give a little bit of a crap about the quality of your images and the process of becoming a better wildlife photographer. If you fall into that thought process, then this video is for you. The one word that I quickly learned in photography, right? And this is when I became a professional. And again, we're going back to 2012. I learned a couple very valuable lessons. I was lucky enough to be around some photographers who kind of put me on this path, and it really made sense to me. It really resonated with me. There is no room in photography or really anything that you're doing that has artistic value, creative value. There is no room for words like content or complacent. Those words to an artist, to a photographer, to a creator are death. Period. They're death. Because once you become content or complacent with your work, you then become stagnant and irrelevant. And for those people who do care about improving and do care about not staying the same artist tomorrow as they are today, those people are going to lap you. And you're probably going to be sitting on the sideline thinking, man, I really wish that my photos looked like that. I wish I could create things like that. How do they do that? What are they doing that's different than me? What they're doing really is nothing different than you, other than they have the desire to improve. So they're stepping out of their comfort zone. They're forcing themselves to break through the boundaries that are in place for them. We all have boundaries, right? We all have a certain amount of innate talent. We all have a certain amount of learned talent. Whatever that is, whatever level we're at, we can always improve. You know, I don't know if I've shared this with you before, but I used to be a full-time golf professional. And I see golf very similar to being a photographer. I see both activities, if you will, as something that you can only do, you can never master. You can't master golf. There's always room to improve. There's always room to become better. And it's part of the process of fine-tuning things and tweaking things to become better and better and better. And of course, it goes without saying, but the better you get, the more difficult it becomes to get better. So if you're a golfer out there shooting 100, hey, look, you've got tons of room to improve, and I can improve you quickly. I can have you shooting in the 80s by working on a couple parts of your game. But when you get down to shooting, 70 or maybe the high 60s, the changes that we need to make to improve your game become much more finite, right? Smaller details, small little things that will pay off if you work on them, but there's not so much leeway there, right, to make big changes. Same thing happens in photography. When you're a newer photographer starting out, or you're, even some intermediate photographers, there's a lot of room to improve because there's a lot of concepts and different things that you probably aren't doing correctly or could be doing better. Maybe you're doing them correctly, but maybe there's ways to do them better. So there's a lot of room for improvement quickly. Where people get frustrated is when they tend to plateau, right? With anything. It doesn't matter if it's golf, photography, I don't care what you're talking about, exercise, right? When you plateau, that's when things get tough. But these are the people who will separate themselves from the average photographer, the average golfer, the average whatever. The people who want to push through the really difficult times, they show resilience, they show commitment, they show persistence. These are the people that will go on to be great or to be greater than average because they're putting in the work, they're putting in the time, they're putting in the effort. They're not complacent. So as we approach 2025, I want you to reflect back on your 2024 and ask yourself, seriously, really seriously, right? A heart to heart with yourself. You don't need to lie to yourself, right? You're not doing any good. Ask the question, what did I do in 2024? What did I hope I would accomplish? And did I get there? And how did I get there? And could I have gone further if I had pushed myself just a little bit harder? I know many of you have families and life responsibilities. And so getting out and doing wildlife photography just may not always be something that you can do, right? You might be a little bit restricted by your commitments. That's life. We all have them. We understand it, but you do what you can do. Maybe your goal for 2025 is to sit down to say, okay, these are my responsibilities that I have in life. Can I adjust something? Is there something I can do so that I can free up a little bit more time to get out there and take pictures of wildlife? Or is there something that I can do in my home, whether it's a training, an online course, practice in your home, buy a stuffed animal, man. Just go buy a bird stuffed animal or whatever you want to buy. Practice at home. Practice in different lighting conditions in your house. Do something to improve yourself. Work with different settings. Test how low you can go, how slow of a shutter speed you can go, hand holding your lens inside, right? This is where you can practice those things. It amazes me how many photographers don't realize that in order to get good at this craft, you have to practice. We practice everything. I used to practice golf every day for 3 hours. And then I would play once or twice a week, but I practiced every day for 3 hours. You want to get good, that's what it takes. Now, I'm not saying that you need to practice photography for 3 hours a day, but what I would recommend is start by learning your camera. You can't do anything if you don't understand the tools you're working with. Sit down with your camera, figure out what you're struggling with, what makes you feel uneasy or uncomfortable when it comes to using your camera. Dedicate 10, 15 minutes every day to learning something new about your camera. And I'm telling you, it won't take long. You will start to really learn the ins and outs of your camera, and that's going to make you a better photographer because you're going to be a better creator because you're going to understand how to use the tools that are built into your camera to take better photos, how you can take more creative photos. Then move on to something else. Maybe learn, hey, what are some good composition things I could learn? Again, you can practice this indoors using a stuffed animal or using some other object. Work on your composition. Do these things. Whatever it is, just take a topic and dedicate 10 to 15, 20 minutes if you can, half hour if you can, every day to just focusing on that. But doing something is better than nothing. So reflect on your 2024 and let me know if you accomplished your goals, if you came up short on your goals, and what you want to accomplish in 2025. If you're looking for advice on how to get there, just ask me in the comments below. I'm happy to provide any insight that I can to help you get there. And after you've reflected on last year, I want you to reflect on this year and what you want to accomplish. Now, I know for me, my big thing this year and something that I've really kind of started here in the tail end of 2024 is I want to become a better wildlife videographer. Right? I'm doing things, you may not be doing this, but obviously I have a photography business. So I have a pretty big interest in becoming a little bit more visible, if you will, on social media platforms, right? Instagram, whatever. And so one of the biggest things that you can do as a wildlife photographer, if you want to create interest in your work, is to create wildlife videos. Everybody loves a great still photograph, but the masses on social media are going to be more attracted to video because of the visual interest it obviously creates. So this is one thing that I'm doing in video wildlife. I'll tell you what, it's harder than photographing wildlife. It's much harder than photographing wildlife. And there's a lot of things to learn. And in fact, I'm going to be doing a video coming up for those of you interested in getting into the video end of things. We're going to have a video coming up talking about some of the video basics. It's going to be kind of a high level video to get you started, get you out there, get you trying it if this is something that you're interested in. But that's going to be a big focus for me in 2025 is 1, improving my wildlife photography, and then 2, really ramping up on my wildlife videography. And those are going to be 2 big goals for me this year. And, I am constantly watching YouTube videos. I will take online courses. I will do whatever I need to do to become better at what I'm doing. Sometimes it's not, just having all this information. Sometimes there's little tips or tricks that you can pull from another photographer that can make all the difference in the world for your own work, can really bring your level of what you're doing up and really bring you to being just a better photographer, a better creator. You have to constantly be challenging yourself every time you go out. How can I create a better photo? What was the last photo that I took that I really loved. What did I love about it? Was it my composition? Did I catch a really unique moment? Was it great, a great action shot? What was it about that photo that you loved? Look at other wildlife photographers. Look at their photos. Pick out your favorite photos. What is it about those photos that you love? Figure out what attracts you to the photos that you like. Is it the lighting? Is it the moments? Is it the species of the animal that you're looking at? Whatever it is, right? Figure out what those key things are that inspire you in photos. When you go out, try to create those in your photos. You know, one of the hardest things for photographers to do, for many photographers, is to capture key moments, anticipating key moments. And that can be really hard for a lot of photographers in wildlife photography because they don't really know the behavior of the animal they're photographing, or some photographers just struggle with pushing that shutter at the right time. But you can learn it. You can definitely learn it. So put yourself in situations where you have to learn it. It's okay if you don't get it right. It's okay if you missed a shot. It's okay to fail. Failure will ultimately lead to your success. We're so afraid of failing in life, in photography, and pretty much everything we do that it can sometimes become paralyzing. Hesitancy becomes paralyzing because we're so afraid of making that mistake. Don't worry about it. Make the mistake, move on, learn from it, capture that moment the next time you go out. All right, guys, I'm going to end this video here, but I wanted to talk about our resolutions for wildlife photography coming up in 2025. Again, I'm taping this video right now on New Year's Eve. It's going to be released next week, so we will be essentially a week into the new year. I figured this would be a good time to talk about something like this while the year is fresh. And before we get to that second Friday in January that we know is Quitter's Day, hey, if you're on board with me on this New Year's resolution about being committed and being persistent and really being dedicated to it, we don't have quitters here, right? No one's a quitter here. We're all striving to become better photographers, better videographers, whatever it is. We're all on that path together. Share your journey with me. Share your failures. Share your successes. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Hey, if you like this video and you want to see more videos along the lines of wildlife photography, consider subscribing to the channel. I greatly appreciate you carving some time out to spend with me today. And hey, guys, go out there and create something today. Think about what you're doing. Think about where you want to go and just have some fun with it. Happy New Year. Wish everyone the best New Year and best wishes for the upcoming year. And I hope you achieve everything you want to achieve. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care.